First, thank you very much for agreeing to meet with me. And as I kind of found you through one of your videos talking about your experiences speaking Taiwanese after abandoning speaking Mandarin. And in this one video that I saw of you, you spoke about comparing speaking Mandarin in Taiwan to being like using
Yep.
pesticides to eventually kill farmland. Since then, you swore off of speaking Mandarin. Why did you do that? And, can you tell us more about the comparison?
Okay, for what we have now, speaking Mandarin is the most convenient thing. It is now the most convenient language for you to speak in Taiwan because it just goes everywhere, and it is artificial. It is a result of political actions, which is not really dichromatic. But whatever. I'm not speaking Mandarin anymore because I just don't want to be part of it. Because anything that is convenient, when you use it too much, it kills something. Well, plastic bags are convenient and it kills sea turtles and whatsoever. So, I chose to chop off my most convenient tongue. It actually hinders my daily life from communicating with some people. But I'm doing this because I just don't want to be part of it. Because maybe 50 years later, when we all know there's a day that we're gonna close our eyes forever, on that day we look back on what we have done in this life, and at that moment I will never forgive myself for being part of all this. For being part of all this a new coming language that no one could spoke or understood when my grandma was born, choking all the languages. I don't want to be part of this. I will never forgive myself for being part of it. So I'm doing this as a resistance, as a futile resistance, maybe. Maybe what I'm doing is not going to change anything, but I would rather die fighting.
You in the video at the very end, you had a very heartfelt moment. Thinking back to your grandmother and about how it's possible that the language itself would die. Probably before you do, and how you would face your grandmother about it. It was a very heartfelt moment. How have you felt since then? Kind of like the story that you had talking about your grandmother. Do you mind sharing a little bit again?
For this generation of people in our 30s or 40s, most of us grew up in a Taiwanese speaking family. We have Taiwanese speaking grandparents. We were cherished by them. We were loved by them. And now thinking that, most of them are with God now, and thinking that our children, because most of us are having children, are being parents now, but the statistics and my personal experience show that maybe 80% of elementary kids right now in Taiwan cannot understand Taiwanese at all. There was this day last year when I was in Taipei and making pop pies for some kindergarten kids. They were maybe 5 or 6 year olds. And I said, 大家好, which is hello in Taiwanese. They couldn't understand at all.
Oh no.
Only 5% of the kids got what I said. So that was the day that I realized that Taiwanese is dying and is unstoppable. So it's a pretty sad thing that we were loved by Taiwanese-speaking grandparents, but we educated our kids to be someone who could not talk to them at all. When they meet in heaven, they would be strangers. How sad is it? So, so I just couldn't let myself walk away from all these. I can't just walk away by continue speaking Mandarin for the rest of my life and be convenient. but no, I'm not gonna do that. It's just against my heart.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with my grandparents, and they spoke Taiwanese, and I ended up speaking Taiwanese with them, Mandarin with my dad, my one generation up, and then English with my own brother. But as I grew
Yep.
older, I found that my Taiwanese skills were getting worse and worse, and I think that happens to a lot of I think I was lucky enough to be able to communicate and still be able to communicate with them. But
Mm-hmm.
with this loss of Taiwanese, or even maybe as a kid, they were able to speak with their grandparents. A lot of them start losing it now, since going to school. Um, what do you think could be some important factors that attributed to you talk about convenience? What do you think attributed to this almost loss of dialect?
What made it so convenient to speak Mandarin and not so convenient to speak the local languages and thereby choking every one of them? Everything is political. So they made it mandatory for students to take the college entrance exams in Mandarin only. If you want to become a lawyer, you take the test in Mandarin. If you want to become a doctor, you take a test in Mandarin. If you want to become a judge, an attorney, everything. You have to do everything in Mandarin. Everything that lifts a poor kid from impoverished environments into the upper levels of the society is in Mandarin. So, so that makes it pretty natural. Well, I don't think it's natural at all, but and that makes it pretty natural for everyone to think that Mandarin is the language to speak, is the language for kids to learn. I think it's wrong. I think it's colonialism. Well,
Mhm.
but it has happened. It has been true. It has been going on for decades in Taiwan, and now we're looking at the end of it,
Mhm.
by which I mean the death of all local languages.
Do you feel like going back a little bit into Taiwan history, in the early 1900s, when Taiwan was a part of the Japanese Empire, there was a huge push for Taiwanese people to speak Japanese as well too. Out of
Mm-hmm.
curiosity, do you think this would still be an existing problem if Taiwan was part of Japan? Like it would, instead of Mandarin, it would be Japanese instead.
Okay. You mean if Japan never lost the Second
Yeah,
World War?
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
taking all the other consequences aside, what do you think for Taiwan and the Taiwanese language itself?
Okay. If we're talking about the local languages, if Taiwan is still ruled by Japan, it would be maybe worse. Just look at what happened in Hokkaido
Hmm.
to the Ainu people. Ainu people are among the Eskimos, I think. They're one of them, and they speak a similar language. But um, I remember what I read from Wikipedia is that they almost lost their language completely. In Hokkaido, they now have more Ainu people who are learning a language that should be their mother tongue as a second language than the kids who are really speaking the language as their mother tongue.
Oh,
Okay, am I making that clear?
so
I'm not
so
sure
there's
about my
a
English.
so there's like a resurgence of people who are trying to learn it now.
Yep, they're trying to learn it back when most of the Ainu people cannot really speak Ainu.
Mm-hmm.
There were only like with on that island with maybe 10,000 people of population, and maybe only 1,000 of them could really speak that language as a mother tongue.
Mm-hmm.
So the rest of the people are learning that as a second language.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to learn it back. What I'm trying to say is that answering your question about Japan, if we're still ruled by Japan now, the local languages could be in a worse condition.
Mm-hmm. Well, Taiwan is having a lot of debate about whether to,
Yes, we
teach
are.
Taiwanese or Hakka or mother tongues in
Sure,
general.
we are.
And
Yep.
do you feel like there is currently a problem, like, or rather not just a problem, but like, how Taiwan society and government is not inclusive or easy for us to learn our mother tongue, whereas places like Japan, as you were saying, there's more people who want to learn their mother tongue. What do you think is the difference between these two societies?
Okay, that's a pretty big difference
Uh-huh.
because in Hokkaido they have Aino, and in New Zealand they have Maori,
Mhm.
and now in Scotland they have Welsh. These are the examples that I found successful in the last century, where people just learned their mother language back successfully. But well, I wish such a thing could happen in Taiwan. But what we have now in the island is that people are saying that we have too many mother languages. We have my mother language, whether you call it Holo or Hokkien, whatever, and we have Hakka. And these more than 5 accents of different Hakka, and like dozens of indigenous languages. And people are saying that it's impossible for our education system to teach all these languages. So why don't you just go back to the old policy where we all speak Mandarin? People are saying that. Of course I disagree, and but what you said was maybe true. So it is a problem. It's causing problem for we to push local languages back to when we're trying to push local languages back to a better status.
Yeah. Okay. Bringing it back to Taiwanese, you mentioned before that there is in modern society, post 2000, post the nationalist army come to Taiwan, there is a convenience to speaking Mandarin, almost a convenience for having one language over the multiple mother tongues. What would be the importance of keeping this, the ability to speak your mother tongue, whether it's Taiwanese or whether it's Hakka or so forth? I like there is if it's not convenient, then what's the importance of keeping something like a local dialect or a local language?
Okay. Some people are always talking about the choice of the markets. They're saying that if people are choosing not to teach their kids to speak in Taiwanese, then Taiwanese should die. Well, well, if you're looking at it this way, then everyone in the world should just speak English and nothing else. So it just doesn't make sense at all. In this era of globalization, we're becoming more and more alike to each other. We're eating the same food. We're listening to the same music. We're watching the same movies. We're wearing our clothes from the same brands more than ever. So, but at the same time, the commercials are telling you to be yourselves. So, what does this yourself really mean? What do you have that is unique, that is not shared by the other people in the world? Well, to me, Taiwanese culture is pretty unique. You don't really go to elsewhere in the you don't really find liang gua, gua he, bode he in other corners of the world. But all these local languages are supported by, all these local cultures, all these local dramas and music are supported by a language, which is Taiwanese, and which is dying. So
Yeah.
50 years later, when we have no one when we have no one that can speak Taiwanese anymore, this unique culture will go. And everything that makes everything that makes our Taiwanese kids different, special from other people in the world will go.
Yeah, I mean, before we spoke about the hand puppets, last time we talked, and the hand puppets, like the bodehi, like a large part of it, as you were saying before, was that like the way that they spoke the lyrics is, nowadays when they try to make like Mandarin lyrics and they translate it to like Taiwanese, it sounds as Taiwanese say KK, just that kind of sounds a little bit awkward. And so what you're talking about is like the loss of culture. Are there other areas of culture would you say like is being lost? Like, could you like give like one or two other like really concrete examples of whether how this loss of the mother tongue kind of loses a bit of the culture?
I have been watching these hand puppet dramas when I was in junior high, maybe when I was a ninth grader. The lyrics were really beautiful at that time. But now the same company making the hand puppet dramas are now passing their business down to their sons, maybe even their grandsons. But those are the kids who grew up in a Mandarin speaking education system. So they didn't really know how to speak beautiful Taiwanese. So that when they had to do the show, they just think about the lyrics, think about the lines in Mandarin and translated everything and pronunciated everything in Taiwanese. So for me, I would say it's kind of like a fake Taiwanese drama. Well, I'm not sure if I can.
Or like a mimic or like an imitation almost, right?
Yeah, it has the shape of a Taiwanese traditional drama, hand puppet drama. But if you just read the lines really carefully, they are Mandarin.
So like if we just like straight up had subtitles that were in Mandarin, you really couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. There's another thing when you mention the subtitles, because Taiwanese people have not been educated to be able to read or write Taiwanese. That's pretty different from Hong Kong people. They can. It's totally fine for them to write down everything they speak in Cantonese. So when we read as they're fighting China for the extradition bill, we read the Hong Konger people's Facebook. They're writing everything in Cantonese.
Yeah.
They're totally fine with it. And outsiders, outside including Taiwaners and mainland and Chinese people, cannot really understand everything they say. Yeah. That is what should happen in Taiwan if we were never colonized, but. Unfortunately, we still are.
Yeah, I remember there were times when I'd read like Hong Kong posts and Cantonese, and like I can kind of read the words, but like I don't get this. And I was like, part of me was like, where's my Facebook translate button? You know, usually when someone writes a different language, you have a translate button, and I'm just like, where is it for Cantonese? Because I don't understand this. So
yeah, very much true.
Yeah.
So if Taiwanese people were really educated to speak or write Taiwanese, then our shows like puppet, like these hand puppet dramas can have their subtitles in Chinese. But no, they actually have their lines translated into Mandarin, and they have Mandarin subtitles. So this is what I'm thinking. This is what I hope that will happen in the future. I want my Siri to speak Taiwanese to me. I want my Siri to be able to understand my Taiwanese, and they're just like搞最近間餐廳，搞我錯咯，去台灣大客。How I wish that she could understand, but she can't. But meanwhile, looking at Hong Kong, they have a Siri who can understand Cantonese.
Oh my God, really?
So it just made me. Yeah, they do. Oh. That just made me so jealous.
Oh, I mean, for anyone, you know, that is essentially another project that someone can do as well too, because that'd be quite amazing. I mean, like just for example, for my dad, you know, or even like, you know, my grandparents, that could get better adoption, you know, and instead of forcing them to have to speak this language that they didn't grow up speaking. So that would be quite amazing, actually.
It would be, but it's not going to happen if we are only talking about the market. The market will not do it because all the Taiwanese-speaking people are now relying on Mandarin to read and write. So if we do want this to happen, we need to make more efforts than just relying on the market.
So then, speaking about that, you know, and as you mentioned before, there is with globalization being a bigger thing, there is almost like a resurgence. Like in America, you start to see a lot of, you know, Asian Americans or even like other like blank Americans, like, you know, someone that's not just like, you know, their parents or their grandparents, most of the grandparents were immigrants, and they're starting to focus more and more on their heritage and their roots, you know, and kind of hoping for a resurgence of, you know, multiple identities. You know, with this, with identity, with culture, how would you suggest people to learn Taiwanese or learn the Taiwanese culture through mother tongues. Whether it's for the parents and also for people like if the parents can help, what can they do? And then if like a high schooler or a college Taiwanese American wants to learn Taiwanese, are there any suggestions that you would have for both the parents and the people themselves?
Okay. As a Taiwanese American, I think now we have the internet. It's actually more convenient than ever to learn any language. We don't have a lot of resources on the internet compared to learning English. We have a limited resource of learning Taiwanese, but we can still do that because that's what I have been doing for the last 2 years. I'm now living in a Hakka-speaking village, so there is actually no one around me who can speak Taiwanese with me. So I've been learning my Taiwanese through YouTube, and there's pretty much we can do. From what I know, there is a podcast, and they have a Facebook fans page as well. They're called Bite Size Taiwanese, and just like there's From what I can tell, there are some Taiwanese people born in America, maybe not living in Taipei, and they started this podcast channel to speaking English but teaching Taiwanese. Well, that's a first. That's a first because English speaking channels teaching Mandarin are like everywhere, but we haven't have a similar thing teaching Taiwanese until like last month.
Yeah, maybe people in Taiwan can actually use this to learn both English and Taiwanese at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think this is about, like, and if anything, like I think the Taiwanese parents, some of them, if their grandparents immigrated here, the parents themselves probably don't even speak Taiwanese themselves as well too. So potentially, this bite-sized Taiwanese could essentially be family activity where they're just learning together as well. So that's definitely something that would be very interesting as well too. I'm looking forward to. I've been putting off listening to it for a while, but I'm definitely going to try to brush up my own Taiwanese as well too. Yeah.
Yep. If you can learn your mother tongue from your family members, it's the most natural way and the best way to do it. But I can't really do that conveniently the way I'm living my life. So I'm learning that through the internet, and it works pretty well for me. But as somebody who is now living in Taiwan, the most important thing is to quit Mandarin. It's not about how you learn Taiwanese. It's about how you keep Mandarin away. Only when you do that can there is room in your tongue for your mother language to grow.
And I know before we spoke about the harshness of picking up Taiwanese itself, like you really in the past year, 2 years, you've really taking your time to learn Taiwanese. And what are how did you go about that? How did you speak Taiwanese to a level where I think people online are praising that your Taiwanese is as if you spoke it since I'm sure you spoke it since you were born, but the fluency of it is something that no one could imagine you only picked up really the past year, 2 years. What was your strategy going about it?
Okay, there were 3 levels of my I don't really how to do that in English. Okay, 那些用台湾话来讲，就是我的这个武功心法，我有3层，初级、中级、甲高级。We have a secret martial arts recipe.
Yeah,
no, not recipe.
The secret guide, or get the point, the shortcut, or
the shortcut of learning martial arts. We have 3 levels. The first level is to learn Taiwanese like how you learn a foreign language, maybe French, maybe Spanish. You just listen to everything you can find on the internet. Find the best speaker and try to repeat everything he or she says. Write down whatever you don't understand or you are not familiar with in your notebook. Well, we're all pretty familiar with that when we learn a foreign language. And now we have to do this to learn our mother tongue, which is sad but necessary. Okay, this is the first level. Learn your mother tongue like you're learning a foreign language. The second level is, well, for we Taiwanese, for we Taiwanese who are now in Taiwan, the second level is pretty important, is to reject Mandarin whenever you speak. You talk to everyone in Taiwanese. If you can't, well, if there is something you need to say but you don't know how to say that in Taiwanese, just get your mobile app and look up in the dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you only like 10 seconds to look up one word. I began refusing Mandarin since July, I think, and for the first couple of months, I look up the dictionary, my mobile app, more than 100 times every day.
Oh my.
Okay, that's the second level. The middle level, or to our secret martial art, and the third level would be pretty painful and harmful to your health. So I don't really suggest you to do that. But it doesn't hurt to just listening to what I did. The highest level is prohibiting yourself from thinking in Mandarin. I asked this question whenever I try to explain this. What's your phone number?
Uh-huh.
When I ask you this question, before you answer me, there is a voice in your head that reads your phone number out loud. Well, you only you hear that voice. And what is that voice? What language is that voice in?
Mm-hmm. If it's my Taiwan number, then I think in Mandarin. If it's my US number, I think of it in English.
Yeah. Okay. So you actually have two brains separated for English and Mandarin. But for we Taiwanese kids who grew up in Taiwan, we now think about we now hear that voice in only Mandarin, and that's what I've been trying to fight when I quit Mandarin. So I just stop that voice and say, no, you can't hear that voice in Mandarin. You have to hear that voice from Taiwanese. So it's actually pretty paranoid. You have to be a paranoid to do that right. But it works really, really well. We have a criteria judging. If you want to know you have successfully learned back your Taiwanese or not, there is a criteria we use, that is, when do you start dreaming in Taiwanese? I talk to my people. I talk to my friends who have been trying to live their lives in Taiwanese. Some say they started dreaming Taiwanese after 1 year or 2. Some say after 3 years or 4. But myself, is a fastest case that I've ever heard. Faster than anyone. I started dreaming in Taiwanese after 4.5 months after refusing to think about anything in Mandarin. Well, yeah, that's it. So you gotta be a paranoid to do that. It's harmful, it's painful, but it really helps you learn back your mother tongue really quick.
Before we finish, I just wanted to ask, if is there any Taiwanese phrase that you would like to teach anyone listening to this?
The first thing that comes to my mind is 过来走. You 过来走. You do know what I'm saying, right? Okay, 过来in Taiwanese is to do something really, really hard, and the words they're writing are like use the force from your bones. 过来走. Right? Yeah, bone force. Use your bone force to do something. 过来走. 过来今晚有需要过来来代理安尼。